Hi everybody, we're on part 3, and I wanted to try to cover some of the things that I haven't covered yet, and sort of where I ended up before was talking about my belief that God is going to vindicate Michael, and I don't say that lightly. I've had a very strong feeling about that, and I believe there's a reason for all of this. I believe there's a reason why reflections needed to be created. And there's a whole big plan in all of this. I don't know what it all is, but I know I felt it during the time that I was creating reflections, and I still feel it now. And one of the things that I remember is that shortly before the website went live, I had said to my husband, this needs to go global. It needs to be all over the world, because I knew that the truth about him needed to reach everybody. And but I did say, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I don't have the resources to do that. I have no clue as to how to go about doing that. But I will tell you that within several hours after the site went live, and I checked my website statistics, the site was global within a couple of hours. And even now, to think about that just gives me the chills, because it was basically announced on Facebook, and from there also on the fan club. But it was in countries that I had never even heard of before. And I just feel that, that was God working, that He got it out there where it needed to be. And I still feel that, that God is going to vindicate Michael. I think we've seen some of that come to pass now, because Murray is going to have to stand trial. And I know for a while some of us had doubted, if he would even go to trial, that he would just walk, that he would retain his license. But that's taking a turn now, and I continue to pray that that will go in the way that we hope. And I felt that it will. So I thought that would help, everyone to kind of get a feel for that a little bit, and to hopefully not worry and be as angry and be as upset. I know it's upsetting, just to think about what happened to Michael. It's upsetting to read the autopsy report. It's upsetting all that he had to go through throughout his life, and in death and after death. But I do feel that vindication is coming. I feel that that's part of what all this was for, because even while in creating the site, I kept saying to my husband, something big is happening, something big is coming. I had no idea what it was. I still don't know, but as time has gone on, I've begun to feel that maybe that's part of it, is Michael's vindication, that the world will begin to know who he really was and how different he was from how he was portrayed in the media. And I think that's going to be very, very important. Speaking of Ustream, that was one of the things I was going to cover, because as you know, last Friday, Mel had asked me to call, or she was calling me. She had asked me to appear on Ustream to talk about the autopsy article that I wrote on the report. And even in that, and this is something I'm not going to go into detail at this point, but just a little bit before I called into Ustream, I had a very unusual experience. And as I said, I don't really want to go into it too much right now, but it was to me another confirmation that we are going in the right direction that things are going in the right direction, and that Michael is okay, that he is with God, and that's why when I speak of these things, I do so from experiences that I've had, and I try to share them with you the best I can. It's not always easy. It's not always doesn't always sound sane, but I'm sharing with you what I've experienced and what I know. And some of the things we covered on Ustream, and I'm not sure how much of it came through because we were having technical glitches, but I wrote that article from a perspective of someone reading the autopsy report and coming away with a common sense knowledge of what the truth was. I didn't write it from a medical perspective. I know there was someone who had an issue while I was on there about me not being a medical expert, and I've stated that right from the get-go, that I am not a medical expert. But you know, when CNN and a lot of other news channels right after Michael passed were you know, saying outrageous claims, you know, that Michael was taking hundreds of pills a day, thousands of pills a month, and his body was riddled with needle marks. That wasn't true. If you look at the autopsy report, you will see that that is false. And that's why it's so important for the autopsy report for us to be knowledgeable about it, because we need to know, as supporters, we need to be able to go out there and come against falsehoods. And so that's something that I think is really important. And one of the things, for instance, I'm working on a report to go into a little bit more detail on the autopsy itself. And I'm hoping that it will help fans and non-fans alike to kind of get a clearer picture of what really is in the autopsy, what isn't. Because there's still a lot of things, inaccurate things that are being said out there. And it's important for fans to know, and the public to know what's true and what isn't. And one of the things, you know, someone was asking about medications, and this is something that I'm going to go into, and hopefully my screen will refresh here. One of the things in the autopsy report that I want to do is kind of go and list the medications that were found and tell what they were for, and kind of give a rundown so that you can see that a lot of what was being said about him was not true. Just as the autopsy proved that Michael had vitiligo, and the thing here too to remember is, if you remember from David Nordahl's interview that I did with him, he spoke about how the media did know that Michael had vitiligo, because so many times we think, oh, you know, they didn't know, or you know, they were just ignorant of it. But according to David Nordahl's interview, he had stated that no, they did know, and they still kept at it. So it wasn't done out of ignorance, it was done to purposely hurt, to get ratings, more than likely. And if you take one of the drugs that is found in the autopsy, called clonazepam, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, and I've looked it up, and what it says is it's either used alone or in combination with other medications, and it's either used to control certain types of seizures, or it's used to relieve panic attacks. And panic attacks, for anyone who might not be familiar, are like sudden, unexpected attacks of extreme fear and worry. There's all kinds of symptoms that can go with them. You know, body shakes, feeling like an inability to, you feel like you can't breathe, lightheadedness, mounting panic to where you feel like you're going to lose control. And So it is a family. It's in the family of the benzodiazepines that were being taken. But here's something important to note. Now, first of all, I don't think clonazepam, believe that was found in Michael's system. But it was prescribed him on April 18th, 2009. There were 30 tablets given. He was to take 1 at bedtime, and there were 8 remaining. So already there, you're getting a picture that someone who would be abusing these drugs, this prescription would already have been gone through and another one issued. So again, this is another proof that what they're saying about his drug use was not true. So if you take, by May 18th, if he took 1 every night at bedtime, he would be through that prescription, but yet there were still 8 left. So, and what I'll do is I'll also go into, in my report, I'll go into more of the medications, what they're used for, and I do not mean to do it as any kind of going into Michael's private things. But in this instance, I almost feel like we have to know, because the media is going to take this, as they have in the past, and going to twist it. And if we know the facts of what's in this autopsy report and what was really found and how much was really found in his body, then we have truth, and we can spread that truth. And one of the things too, for instance, there was talk about, Diane Dimond being the beacon of truth that she is, stated that Michael was an alcoholic. Well, as we know, after speaking with David Nordahl, he had never seen him under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And the autopsy report itself shows that there's no damage to the liver that would indicate alcoholism or drug use. One thing to keep in mind is, even when you take, if you take a Tylenol or an aspirin or whatever, you have a headache, all of those medications have to be processed through your liver. And so the liver is going to accumulate effects of alcohol and drugs if it's a continuous assault on the body. That was not found. And if I can find it before we lose time here, I will quickly report to you what it said about the liver, and also, the puncture wounds. There was just several puncture wounds. His body was not riddled with puncture wounds. There were several. And most of them were either due to the resuscitative efforts, or they were due to the IV with the propofol. In here, it's talking about the liver, and it's saying that it's normal. So you're not going to have a liver that's normal in someone who is abusing drugs or alcohol. So that's one of the things I'm going to go into in the report that I'm trying to write. I guess I could either do it via video or written, or both. I have to think about how that will work best. But that's something else I want to cover, and that's pretty much everything I can think about that I have to share with you guys today, unless I can think of anything else. But I want you guys to feel some peace. I want you to feel that that things are going to be okay, that Michael's okay, that he's no longer suffering. And it's hard without him here. So many of us feel that he still had so much left to give. And I don't know the reason why he was taken from us so quickly in such a short time, but he was. And I think all of this will play into the truth coming out about him. And I just hope that, I just hope it brings us all peace. And thank you all so much for listening in. Thank you.